Ultra Instinct, the technique of the divine in Dragon Ball Super, or to be more specific, the angels. But let's get into Ultra Instinct. What exactly is it and how does it work? And just how effective is it in the world of Dragon Ball? Common misconception with Ultra Instinct is that people seem to believe that Goku has to become this mindless, emotionless robot when he's fighting in Ultra Instinct. But that's not the case at all. All he needs to do is get rid of any unnecessary emotions. He states this from, the first time he uses Ultra Instinct against Jiren. And then obviously right below we see that Goku talks about how his heart is as calm as the streams in Mount Paozu. Essentially, the calmer you become, the deeper you dive into Ultra Instinct, and obviously the more accurate and powerful it becomes. We see this being the case when Goku becomes calm enough to go into the perfected Ultra Instinct state. And he goes from only being able to dodge or block Jiren's attacks to actually being able to land an effective blow of his own. We also know that perfected Ultra Instinct also takes quite a toll on the user's body when they're obviously automatically dodging. So as we says here, you have to have a well-honed body to be able to endure, obviously what comes with Ultra Instinct. Not only the toll that comes with your body independently moving on its own, but also the power that comes with the technique as well. Fast forwarding past the Tournament of Power, we know that Goku and Vegeta are training in a gravity chamber. And he essentially tells Vegeta that he can't go Ultra Instinct at will, like he hasn't been able to pull it off since the tournament. Despite, being able to go into the perfected state, Goku only happens to go into the state, unconsciously without knowing how he did it. So, and we know this state is hard for even the strongest gods to pull off. So it makes sense that, Goku Immortal would have a tough time, achieving that form again. It's not something you can just achieve, on the fly. Fast forwarding through the Moro arc, we know that Goku and Vegeta are now training to be able to face off against Moro. And Mirrors is trying to teach Goku how to use Ultra Instinct at will. And Goku has a common misconception that a lot of the community has as well, that you just have to empty your mind and heart and you can use Ultra Instinct, basically becoming a mindless robot and not really having any emotion. And Mirrors just kind of tells you that's not really it. As I said before though, you don't need to get rid of all emotions to use Ultra Instinct. You just have to get rid of any unnecessary ones that would get in the way of the technique. And also you have to be able to achieve self-control in the face of a jarring shock to your emotions. So when you're facing mental and emotional instability, you have to be able to, rein it in and control yourself if you want to be able to, eventually achieve Ultra Instinct. To add on, Ultra Instinct has two distinct states. It has Sign and it has Perfected Ultra Instinct. If you want to make an analogy, Sign would be you first starting off playing a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And getting a starter pack, and Perfected Ultra Instinct with you becoming a master of the game. Sign is really just to start you off, because you see, as we says, it's just a gateway to the perfected version of Ultra Instinct. So it's a lot of instability, and thus it being unstable and not perfect, it takes up a lot of stamina to maintain it. The initial state of Ultra Instinct is not only a gateway to the perfected state of Ultra Instinct, but it's also a gateway to your full potential. We know that when you go into Sign, you're able to bring out the fullest amount of your power that you weren't able to bring out before. While on the other hand, Perfected Ultra Instinct not only allows you to bring out your full potential, but it takes you beyond your limits. So it really has no set power level. Like I said in the beginning of the video, it's an adaptive and reactive technique. Sign allows you to be able to obviously grow in power as well, but it's only when you're like getting more calm and tranquil. When you're in Ultra Instinct Perfected, your body automatically is just adapting and reacting to all, outside stimuli that's like affecting you or putting you in danger. We see here that, following Mirrors' death, Goku, like Mirror said before, in the face of a jarring shock to your emotions, Goku was able to keep his composure and kind of, dive deeper into the state of Ultra Instinct, allowing him to, once again go into his perfected state. Right here, we just have an example of Goku doing exactly that, adapting and reacting. We see Bears talk about how Goku's fine-tuning his moves more and more, now that he's achieved the perfected Ultra Instinct state, was just showing you in response to, the danger that Moro poses, his moveset, his speed, his strength. Ultra Instinct is, adapting and reacting to, what he's doing accordingly. Side note, but can we just talk about how raw Perfected Ultra Instinct looks in the Moro arc in comparison to the TOP? Like in the TOP, when he first drew, you could tell he was kind of still trying to find his stride with how to draw it properly. Obviously we have, he was pretty skinny. The hair, I fucked with the hair, but like the look just looks more defined here, you feel me? And like he kind of just, you could tell he knows what he's going for with Ultra Instinct here. And we just got one of the rawest moments in Dragon Ball, period. This is the first time somebody actually broke their hand on contact when they're trying to hurt somebody. Once again though, like I said, we just see Ultra Instinct being adaptive and reactive, which just tells us that Ultra Instinct, when it's honed to the extent Goku's honed it to, his body just automatically grows sturdier as necessary. So despite Moro trying to off-guard Goku, obviously his body is independent from his mind, so it can just literally react, on its own and grow stronger as it needs to. This is actually a more accurate translation of what Whis says, just saying that his body instinctively increases power as needed. So it's literally just implying the same thing, that Goku's body all on its own is just reacting to what Moro did, trying to off-guard Goku when he's not paying attention. And it just increased his power, making obviously his body more sturdy. Obviously we know Ki is just going to increase your stats as needed, so it just made his body sturdier and it caused Moro to break his hand. ChatGPT supports the translation that I showed as well. You could just go on there and get the raw kanji translate and it's just going to say the same thing. Ultra Instinct not only makes you more powerful, but it actually gives you Angel Chi as well. You see from what Whis says here that he confirms that, and that also explains why Goku gets a different aura. He goes from having like a yellow aura in base to a blue aura in Ultra Instinct, and also his hair just becomes silver. We know that Chi actually does affect your physical appearance, and for Saiyans it's mainly just your eyes, your eyebrows, and your hair turning colors. For Moro here, it's just like he kind of got a different getup, with the fur and shit, so it affects niggas in different ways. Goku just goes on to warn Moro that his body isn't properly honed to withstand the Angel Chi that comes with Ultra Instinct. We saw back in the TOP that Goku was having the same issue, but it wasn't nearly as bad because Goku had already honed his body to be able to withstand God Chi, unlike this nigga Moro. The whole reason Moro even becomes this big in the first place is Ultra Instinct trying to compensate for the power difference between him and Goku. Ultra Instinct is obviously trying to adapt and obviously make Moro as strong as he needs to be able to take on Goku. And while it keeps, continues to do that, his body becomes, all bloated and shit because his body's not able to handle all the power that it's getting. And at this point, if you saw the Toyotaru interview after the Moro arc, he kind of talks about how Ultra Instinct Goku really looked, just damn near perfect. And how he wants Goku's Ultra Instinct to achieve another level of perfection. So literally, mastery equals, perfection, and he wants him to go even further beyond that. Because he just now, achieving mastery, being able to use it at will. So now, you feel me, you want to take it, as far as you can take it. Fast forward and we're now in the Granola arc, and we see that Goku is now able to use the perfected Ultra Instinct state at will. But as Whis says, the ability to wield Ultra Instinct is not your ultimate goal. This is just a starting point. He's just now learning how to use it at will. So he still has a lot more to improve and a lot more to learn. Just like with everything else, you can always go beyond mastery. You get taught something, you master how to do it, and you can always go beyond that and add your own style and your own, unique touch to, whatever you were taught. Like I said, there's always room to go beyond mastery. Here we just have Whis telling us that his Ultra Instinct, he has greater command over it than Mirrors, and then the Grand Priest, who's at the top of the leaderboard, just has, the greatest mastery and greater mastery than him. Showing you that it's only up from here for Goku. He just still has so much room to grow with the technique. Now, I hope you guys don't take Goku saying he's at the bottom of the ladder, meaning that he's actually weaker than Mirrors, because we know that's not the case. We literally saw Goku and Ultra Instinct take on Moro plus Mirrors, because he absorbed Mirrors' Ultra Instinct. And with Ultra Instinct comes, Angel Chi, so he absorbed all of Mirrors' power and he still was inferior to Goku. This is just telling us that despite Mirrors being weaker than Goku, he still just has a greater control and greater command over the technique itself. Meaning he's just more skilled in using the technique in comparison to Goku at the moment. Speaking of techniques, Ultra Instinct is exactly that, a technique. We know that Ultra Instinct is actually just supposed to be a natural state of being that allows you to, move all your body parts independently, without thinking. But Goku hasn't achieved the level of mastery that allows him to just be naturally in Ultra Instinct at all times. He has to, kind of go full throttle and use the full extent of it, which is the silver haired form. Like I said, Ultra Instinct, just being able to use it is the first step. We know that Goku has to push his body beyond its limits for him to be able to use Ultra Instinct. He can't use it, just naturally at all times, like the angels. He has to transform to do it. The ultimate goal is just to be able to use Ultra Instinct at all times, whether you're eating, sleeping, taking a shit, or just simply lollygagging and not paying attention. Just being able to use it 24/7. To put it in simple terms, is just Goku allowing his body to just always be an autopilot and just take the wheel and just do whatever it needs to do. As long as you have a calm mind, you should just be able to use Ultra Instinct no matter what state you're in. The original translation obviously says a calm heart, but it's actually a calm mind. You'll see why that's actually the case later on in the Granola arc. Sure, you have to have a calm mind and heart to be able to use the perfected Ultra Instinct, but if we're just talking about the technique in general, you don't need that. You just need a calm mind and you're good. Once again, ChatGPT is just literally co-signing what I said earlier about the translation. A good way to improve Ultra Instinct is, as you can see, something Goku's been doing since he was a kid, which is meditation. helps to clear the mind and, calm you down. So the more he meditates, the easier, it becomes for him to just be in that state of calmness and tranquility whenever he's fighting. In his fight against Granola, we see that Goku uses Super Saiyan God in conjunction with Ultra Instinct. And this is just, obviously Goku trying to, divvy down, his level of Ultra Instinct so it can become more natural to him, and him not having to go full throttle and use, the Silver Hair transformation to use Ultra Instinct. So he's literally just trying to, get a better command over it. During training, we see Goku learning to use it in his natural state, and obviously at this point, if he needs a boost, he could just combine it with his Super Saiyan forms. We actually get a deeper perspective on Ultra Instinct and what exactly it's doing. From what Granola says here, is literally changing the blood flow and the movements of your cells. So it's affecting you on the cellular level. Each time Goku ups his transformation that he uses in conjunction with Ultra Instinct, it actually makes it more accurate and more powerful and harder to read. As you can see, the movement of his cells and his blood flow literally changes. So there's no openings. I won't say no openings, but it's not as many openings as before, and he's not able to read him, how he was before when he was using it in Super Saiyan God. Ultra Instinct is actually not supposed to have any openings at all. As you see Goku saying right here, it should have no weaknesses. It just shows that his mastery of it isn't where it needs to be yet. Goku actually does have 0 openings in his perfected Ultra Instinct state. The only downside is he can't maintain it for long. Not only does his blood flow and the movements of his cells change, but he just literally has no vital points that you can attack now. Just based off the simple fact that his body can just become as sturdy as it needs to. So if he tries to hit him on contact, he's just gonna fucking hurt himself trying to hurt Goku. Because his body will just automatically make itself as sturdy as it needs to be able to withstand whatever attack from Granola. Granola is just able to find vital points or weak spots in Goku's perfected Ultra Instinct over time due to the fact that he can't maintain, this level of accuracy that he had in the beginning, for a long period of time. Goku's accuracy dropping just has a lot to do with him not being able to maintain a calm mind and a calm heart. Could you see here when he sees, Granola actually tricked him, with the clone, he gets all flustered. You can see it by his expression, and then at that point his mind isn't calm and his heart isn't calm how it's supposed to. So his accuracy drops and his vital points become, obviously available for Granola to attack. You also see Goku's accuracy dropping as a moral as well, because once he gets Ultra Instinct perfected, he literally has control of the fight the whole time. But then obviously, Moro pulls a fast one and he merges with the planet. And now, Whis tells Goku that the planet is gonna detonate and destroy, the whole universe or whatever. So now it's like putting a lot of pressure on Goku, and it's like putting him in a really sticky situation. So at that point, it's kind of hard for him to stay calm how he needs to be. So if you notice, his actually does start to drop a bit. Once Moro merges with the earth, he's also able to grow limbs out of the ground. And we just see Goku is like really straining hard to be able to defend against Moro now. And he's even caught off guard by, the punch that comes from below. Early in the fight, we don't really see Goku struggling to anticipate any of Moro's attacks or being thrown off by anything he does until now. It's like, you really can't deal with that. You should have seen this attack coming. Moro actually tried to pull off something similar in a fight with Goku when he had a bunch of lava coming out from all directions to kind of throw Goku off, and then he tries to come from behind and catch him off guard, but obviously we see Goku easily counters him. So that's just showing that Goku is, kind of flushed and thrown off his game, now that Moro's fused with the planet, and, he's pretty much a risk to the whole universe. So with Ultra Instinct, you really absolutely have to be in the right mindset, and you just have to be absolutely sure of yourself, because the littlest thing can literally throw off your emotions and throw off the accuracy of the technique. Proceeding forward, we then just have Goku telling Gas that anger is an emotion that fucks with his special move, which is Ultra Instinct. We know that anger is just, emotion, the opposite of being calm and tranquil. So it makes sense it will have the opposite effect, hindering Ultra Instinct rather than, helping it. Goku isn't in perfected Ultra Instinct here, so he doesn't need to have a calm heart, just a calm mind. But we know anger still is something that really clouds your mind and kind of fucks you up mentally. So it's something he can't use while using Ultra Instinct.
True Ultra Instinct, Goku's own unique version of Ultra Instinct that he learned to use against Gas. But how exactly does it work? Let's get into it. First, I want to establish you don't need to get rid of all emotions for UI, just any unnecessary emotions. And I'm also going to explain why Goku using emotions in this form isn't a problem. And I think a lot of y'all misconstrue what exactly emotions are. Y'all get it mixed up with feelings, but emotions literally work on an instinctual level. They're still automatic and unconscious. unconscious. They're immediate reactions, fight or flight, responses to the stimuli in your environment. Alright, so all Bardock is doing here is focusing on nothing but victory in the face of life and death, which is him just giving into his Saiyan instincts or his fight or flight responses. And we know that in response to certain stimuli, which will be life and death, is allowing his body to grow strong. So all Bardock's body is doing is just responding to the stimuli it's being exposed to, which is gas's power, which is putting it in a life or death, situation or state, and in turn it evolves and makes Bardock strong enough to defeat gas. And Goku meditates to keep a calm mind to balance out his wild.
Goku just ends up telling Whis that he can't keep his heart calm the same way that the angels do, and it makes sense. He's fundamentally a different being than the angels, made up differently, in terms of their genetics. So obviously they're going to react and, take things differently when it comes to their emotions. In his arc, Goku just really has a hard time managing his emotions in different situations, whether it be angry, whether him being, distraught or thrown off in a situation, or also something I didn't mention against Granola, also just him being a Saiyan and him, getting excited in battle and his heart kind of beating really fast also goes against, him staying calm as well. So it kind of makes it harder to maintain that perfected Ultra Instinct state. And we just goes back to what he said at the beginning of the arc, telling Goku that he needs to find, his own unique style for Ultra Instinct and not just copy him. Here he just says you need to find your own unique Ultra Instinct. So his own unique way of using Ultra Instinct that suits him. Which leads to Whis just telling Goku to look within himself and kind of, just fundamentally look at himself and just question, like, what are you? Because obviously, Whis is an angel, he's a Saiyan. They're fundamentally different beings, so they're going to have different ways of doing things with Ultra Instinct. So he's really just telling him, like, yo, you can't be like me, you can't be like the angels, so be like yourself. Find the best way to use Ultra Instinct in this situation. Obviously, if he's going to use Ultra Instinct the best way he needs to, he can't just implement his Earthling side. He has to implement his Saiyan side as well, since that's literally part of his being. Achieving perfected Ultra Instinct is just the first step to mastery. Obviously, if you want to take it beyond that point, you have to find a way to add your own unique touch to it, to make it your own, so you can take it farther and make it, more powerful and just better in general. This just goes to show that Ultra Instinct is just fundamentally different for every different being. Once you get past the first stage of mastery, and then your paths diverge and you have your own unique way of using the technique compared to everyone else. They actually touch on something that actually connects to Goku's Ultra Instinct in a way, because here Goku just openly admits that he hasn't always had complete faith in his power. We know that Saiyan pride means the only thing about victory in the face of life and death, meaning you have total faith in your power and your ability to win the fight. Saiyan pride also means facing a challenge head on and not running away from it, and we've seen the Z fighters kind of retreat or, back off from certain threats because they felt like they couldn't win. We literally see Goku in the More arc doing exactly what he, calls himself out on about not having complete faith in his power, because Whis literally has to remind him, like, yo, bro, you have the power of a god now. Have faith in your own strength and do what you need to do. And then here we literally see him still not fully believing in himself, because he even says, I guess I still don't have enough god power. Whis literally tells him he has enough power to do what he needs to do to defeat Moro here. So this just shows that, mindset goes a really long way with Ultra Instinct, like I said, which is hindering his power here. Because we know at this point that Goku is far surpassed Meruem in power. So if Meruem was able to do something like this on Moro, so should Goku. But like I said, Goku doesn't have total faith in his power here, which is hindering his mindset, which is obviously, not allowing him to have a completely calm heart and fully utilize the power of Ultra Instinct here. As Gas arrives back on Planet Cell to face Goku and Vegeta, we know that they've now learned from Bardock's fight against Gas back in the day, and now they're just trying to give into their Saiyan instincts and focus on nothing but victory in the face of life and death. But still, Goku's only found part of the answer to, what he needs to evolve his Ultra Instinct. We know that this mindset is putting him on the right path, but Ultra Instinct perfected obviously requires you to have a calm mind and calm heart. So it kind of, goes against it and contradicts it. So it's causing Goku to not being able to calm his heart the way he needs to. Leading to my nigga Goku just coming up with his own unique version of Ultra Instinct, his true Ultra Instinct. We see here he simply just explains that perfected Ultra Instinct requires him to not only have, a calm mind, but a calm heart along with it, which he can't, implement, the new shit that he's learned into his perfected Ultra Instinct. So he has to go back into Sign, which only requires him to have a calm mind. Now that he's in Sign, he's just able to give into his Saiyan instincts and let his emotions go to work for him. And he doesn't need to stay calm in battle. He can embrace, the excitement he feels as a Saiyan when he's fighting someone strong. In Perfected Ultra Instinct, Goku has a calm mind and a calm heart. But in Sign, he's able to now implement his emotions, having a wild heart or uncalm heart. And he's keeping that in check with his calm mind. That's why we see Goku meditate in the panels prior before he unlocks this new state. As you know, this development with Ultra Instinct is just very controversial. and there's just a lot of misconceptions about it. We know that a lot of people feel like it contradicts, what Ultra Instinct is, and it goes against all of Whis' teachings and makes it meaningless, and just a whole lot of other shit. Ultra Instinct is all about moving instinctually, which Goku is still doing in his state. As we know, as long as you have a calm mind, which was established back in, early in the Granola arc, you can move, instinctually in any state. So Goku is literally just using the emotions that come from his Saiyan instincts as emotional stimuli, and it's just sending shock to his body in response to life or death situations, which is just, in response to his fight with Gas. And it's just allowing his body to move on its own. And like I said, he keeps a calm mind in this state, just with a wild heart. So he's still maintaining the principles of Ultra Instinct, which is still allowing him to obviously move instinctually how Whis taught him. Achieving Ultra Instinct is just the first step. Like I said, it's only the starting point. So Goku is literally using the fundamentals and the foundation that was set, with the principles that he knows from Ultra Instinct that he learned from Whis, and he's just adding on to it with his own unique, touch, adding his Saiyan instincts, using the emotions from his Saiyan instincts to still move instinctually, bro. He's still using Whis' teachings, just in a different way. Like, y'all gotta wise up, bro, and kind of try to look deeper into shit and stop thinking surface level. Ultra Instinct is actually heavily inspired by Bruce Lee's in real life teachings. We know that Bruce Lee actually starts off with the original method, using a calm mind and a calm heart to allow his body to move independently from his mind. But we know that, this style is pretty defensive, and Bruce Lee saw that, so he added on to it, like Goku added on to Ultra Instinct in the manga. And he started using his emotions, and using his outside stimuli like danger, fight or flight, reflexes, in response to life or death situations, to create a more aggressive and a more offensive oriented style of no mindness. Ultra Instinct as a whole is just heavily inspired by Bruce Lee and the originators of no mindness. We know that Bruce Lee's not the originator of it. He just added on, his own unique twist to it, which is what, Toriyama used, with Goku's, true Ultra Instinct. It was heavily inspired. He just added his own twist on it, with the Saiyan instincts and emotions and stuff. This is actually a perfect example of Goku's new Ultra Instinct in action. We know that, Gas got older in response to him gaining more power, and Goku was getting overwhelmed. You see right here, in response to Gas's power, life and death, Goku actually powers up a bit and is able to push back against Gas, something he couldn't do earlier when Gas first powered up. Goku's just using life and death scenarios to send shocks to his emotions, just to give him the power that he needs to be able to, combat his opponent. Goku actually goes into Ultra Instinct unconsciously when he's knocked out after, Gas puts him down momentarily, which is just showing, like I said, his Ultra Instinct is evolving, because normally we see him have to enter Ultra Instinct on his own, but his body kind of just responds to the situation on its own and goes into the perfected state of Ultra Instinct to defend against Gas and stop him from, obviously getting to Granola. In response to this threat, Goku just activates his avatar and throws Gas into space. Ultra Instinct is an adaptive and reactive technique, and is now at a stage where Goku's body can just use it unconsciously, which is showing he's getting closer and closer to being able to use the state 24/7, being in a state at all times. So we see that Goku, clearly in response to Gas's power, goes into his full powered Ultra Instinct state, which is the Silver Hair state, and like I said, it's adaptive reactive, so it knows what it needs to do in the situation. It pushes Goku's power to the point where he can use the astral projection state, and he just throws Gas into space. He does what he needs to do, throws him into space to get him away from the planet so Granola can blast him. Toritara also says in the interview that at this point, Goku is just getting closer to, the level that Whis is at. Not necessarily his accuracy with Ultra Instinct, but him being able to use it, 24/7 at any point, whether he's asleep, awake, eating, shitting, whatever. He also says that Goku and Ultra Instinct are kind of becoming one, and they're, kind of starting to fuse together or mesh together, to become more of Goku's natural state of being. Meaning Goku just took a huge step during this arc in terms of, his progression with Ultra Instinct. Another thing that needs to be addressed is that there's a lot of people that think that the true Ultra Instinct state that Goku achieved is actually stronger than, the perfected version of Ultra Instinct, which is just not the case. Goku has a pretty hard time in his arc, keeping a handle on his emotions, which in turn is affecting, the calmness of his heart. Because like I said, in perfect Ultra Instinct, not only a calm mind, but a calm heart is required. So essentially, Goku is not able to calm his heart to the full extent that he needs to, which in turn is not letting him use the full extent of Ultra Instinct the way he, should be able to. We see in his true Ultra Instinct, he has a better handle on his emotions, which is why he's able to get more power out of the state that he's in when he's using it. Someone actually made a guide for Ultra Instinct on Twitter, just breaking down the different stages of Ultra Instinct for Goku. We have Ultra Instinct Sign, and then we have the stage of Ultra Instinct where Goku was having trouble keeping his heart calm, which is, obviously in the beginning of the arc against Gas, or not Gas, Granola, and then later when Vegeta and Goku are fighting Gas. Then you have, what the full extent of Ultra Instinct is supposed to look like when Goku is able to summon the power of that astral projection of himself. We see it against Moro when he destroys the crystal on his forehead to stop him from detonating. And then we have it, against Gas when he kind of unconsciously just goes into perfected Ultra Instinct, summons the astral projection, and then throws Gas into space. And like I said, perfected Ultra Instinct is still Ultra Instinct at its best. As we see Goku talking about bringing out their best moves right off the bat, and he goes into perfected Ultra Instinct, and Whis just confirms to Beerus that perfected Ultra Instinct is still Goku's strongest technique. On top of that, there's actually an official guide that was put out just breaking down, all the stages of Ultra Instinct for Goku. And once again, it says that, the silver-haired state is still the strongest stage of Ultra Instinct for Goku. Probably should explain this earlier in the vid, but perfected Ultra Instinct is really just supposed to be a culmination of everything Goku has learned from beginning to this point in the story, which is just a representation of his nature as an Earthling, while the true Ultra Instinct that Goku achieved against Gas is obviously a representation of his Saiyan nature being added to Ultra Instinct. So obviously the duality, you have the perfect Ultra Instinct with the white hair, also meaning like enlightenment, and kind of like I said, representing the Earthling side of things for him. And then we have true Ultra Instinct that obviously represents the Saiyan side of things. With Ultra Instinct, you really just have to be able to tap into different sides of your nature to get different aspects of Ultra Instinct, like whether you want to have a more offensive oriented Ultra Instinct or a defensive oriented Ultra Instinct, or the best of both worlds. If it wasn't obvious already, depending on your master of Ultra Instinct, you can have a tough time adapting to your opponent. We see that Gohan has a huge increase in his speed, and it causes Goku to go from, easily being able to dodge Gohan to barely being able to dodge him and having to block his attacks now. The huge increase in speed on top of Goku's body actively having to try and respond to Gohan's attacks, obviously dodging them and barely blocking them, is making it harder to adapt and, obviously overcome this level of speed that Gohan is displaying. Lastly, we also just see in the superhero arc or post-superhero arc, we see that Goku actually has a way better handle on perfected Ultra Instinct and keeping his emotions in check and staying calm. Because we know that, obviously in the Moro and Granola arcs, he was having trouble keeping his emotions in check. And especially in the Granola arc, he was having a hard time, maintaining the accuracy of the form and staying in it for, long periods of time. But here he actually stays in it for about 30 minutes. I'm basing this off the fact that Goten and Trunks fused literally right before the battle between Goku and Gohan started. And that's when Goku went into Ultra Instinct. And literally shortly after Goku and Gohan's battle ended, we see them unfused. So it's about a 30-minute, time limit for Goku. And if you see him here, he's not fatigued at all. He's chilling. So he can honestly maintain that form pretty, casually for, a lot longer than 30 minutes if we're being honest. They're just doing a good job portraying that slowly but surely Goku is getting a way better hand on Ultra Instinct, and as you can see, he's able to casually use the perfected Ultra Instinct state now, showing that he's making that form his own, allowing him to just feel a lot more natural when he's in that state. One last thing before I end the video up too, you want to get into a little power scaling. We know that from what we've seen in the anime and manga, Ultra Instinct is actually like a fusion level amp. Goku in perfected Ultra Instinct in the anime is just able to take on Jiren, who's just time and time again stated to be above all of the God of Destruction in terms of his combat ability and power. And we see in the Broly movie that it requires Goku and Vegeta, obviously fusing together to be able to combat Broly, who's also another person in the anime who's considered above the God of Destruction. Then we see that Moro in his 7-3 state is just stated to be the strongest opponent that Goku's fought up to that point. And he's in perfected Ultra Instinct and he's just easily dog walking this nigga with no difficulty at all. So, like I said, a fusion level multiplier. I know you guys may question the validity of this statement, but you gotta look at the context of all of this. Because it says toughest, not strongest, but you gotta look at what he says prior to this. Goku talks about how he's this strong just by eating planets and stealing lives, and that he should train because he's actually the toughest nigga he's ever fought. So imagine if he trained. You gotta look at the context. They're talking about training and how strong he is. Based on this context, Goku's saying that Moro's the toughest person he's come across at this point in the story. It's just him saying that he's the strongest person he's come across. This is gonna wrap up the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys learned something and got a better grasp of what Ultra Instinct is and how it works. If you guys are looking to check out other Dragon Ball content, I have more posted on my channel. So if you fucked with this one, definitely wanna go check those out. And if you fuck with my content in general, hit that sub button. And if you like the video, nigga, like the video. But I also should have an Ultra Ego video in the works pretty soon. I'm probably gonna get started on that probably later in the week. So definitely be on the lookout for that, probably in April. But this is gonna cap everything off. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see y'all niggas in the next one. Peace.